Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video from Via Doctus. In today's video, we will discuss the evolution of the world map throughout ancient history and the subsequent development of cartographic representation of the entire Earth's surface as human knowledge expanded. This reflects humanity's desire to understand and explore the vast lands that surrounded them, filled with both opportunities and dangers that never seemed to curb human curiosity. We begin at the very start with the oldest known map in human history. This map, drawn on a clay tablet and dated between 500 and 700 BC, has incredibly survived to the present day. It shows us a conceptualized representation of the world as it was known to the Babylonians, and also contains a brief, partially lost written description in Akkadian, an extinct language spoken by the ancient Assyrians and Babylonians. The so-called Babylonian map of the world, which is 2,500 years old, takes the Euphrates River as its central axis, flowing from north to south. The city of Babylon is depicted as divided into two halves by this great river, and is located in the northern part of this map. Susa, the capital of Elam, is shown to the south, Urartu to the northeast, and Haban, the capital of the Kassites, is inaccurately located to the northwest. On the map, we see the land of Mesopotamia, surrounded by what is referred to as the Bitter River in cuneiform writing, which describes the circular ocean depicted on the map. Beyond this ocean, 8 triangular regions are seen in the outer circle, 5 of them named as Nagu, while the names of the remaining 3 have not survived to our time. This tablet was discovered in Sippar, about 37 miles north of Babylon, on the east bank of the Euphrates River. It was first translated in 1889 and is currently housed in the British Museum in London. After the Babylonian map of the world, we come to the first world map in geographic history, the lost map of Anaximander of Miletus. Dated to 520 BC, this map integrates the first known geographical contribution with some scientific rigor. Unfortunately, no copy of it has survived, and we only know of it thanks to the description provided by the famous Greek historian Herodotus. In the image, you can see a representation of the map based on the description provided by Herodotus. This was the first world map that attempted to establish realistic proportionality, presenting the known world in a circular shape, surrounded by the ocean. For Anaximander, the Earth was drum-shaped, with the Mediterranean, Greece, and part of the Persian Empire located at the center. Moreover, Anaximander was the first to introduce the revolutionary concept of presenting our planet as a finite body floating in balance within space. That is, there would be space or sky, both above and below the Earth. This was a truly revolutionary idea for the development of subsequent scientific thought. Already in the 2nd century BC, Eratosthenes of Cyrene stood out as a significant reformer of Greek cartography. He created a world map that, although it has not survived to our time, has been reconstructed with great precision, thanks to the accounts of various explorers and sailors who detailed the locations of seas, lands, mountains, rivers, and cities. Eratosthenes' map was the first to establish a system of meridians, dividing the known world into sectors. These sectors were defined by 2 perpendicular axes, one running north-south, which was the meridian that crossed Siena and Alexandria, and the other running west-east, which crossed the Pillars of Hercules, Athens, and Rhodes. Around the year 150 AD, the world map of Ptolemy was created. It was presented in his work Geographia, where he described in detail different locations in the known world, using for the first time a system of latitudes and longitudes. The first part of his book is introductory, where he establishes the methodology for conducting cartographic work and various projections that cartographers of later centuries would use to create numerous world maps, integrating the first approximations of the distribution of the continents on our planet. Undoubtedly, Ptolemy's influence on subsequent cartography is incalculable. In the second part of the book, he catalogued approximately 8,000 places of the ecumene, or known world, with their respective coordinates of longitude and latitude. However, while the latitudes are relatively accurate, Ptolemy made some errors in longitude, as he used dimensions of the Earth that were smaller than the real ones, based on the estimates of Posidonius and Marinus of Tyre, instead of those of Eratosthenes, which were much closer to reality. In the last part of his book, he contributed 27 maps of the known world, constituting a true treasure of human knowledge. Unfortunately, we no longer have the original maps made by this remarkable Greek geographer, but the fact that his work Geographia contains thousands of references to different parts of the ancient world, with coordinates for many of them, made it possible for cartographers to reconstruct Ptolemy's vision of the world when the manuscript was rediscovered around the year 1300. It was not until the Middle Ages that different geographical features were represented on maps. This was done in the work entitled the Tabula Rogeriana, created in the 12th century by the geographer born in Ceuta, Al-Idrisi, where the representation of seas, mountains, rivers, and the locations of cities began to appear. This work included a large world map oriented in the opposite direction to the one currently used, where the north would be down and the south up, as you can see in this image. In his work, the Arab cartographer already assumed the Earth to be spherical, estimating a circumference of 23,000 miles, with less than a 10% margin of error from the actual dimensions. Currently, 10 handwritten copies of the Tabula Rogeriana are preserved, the oldest dating from the year 1325. We had to wait until the year 1500 to see the first representation of the American continent on a world map. This was created by the Spanish sailor Juan de la Cosa in El Puerto de Santa Maria in Cadiz, and it includes the earliest preserved depiction of the American continent. The map, which is currently housed in the Naval Museum of Madrid, shows the lands discovered by Spanish, Portuguese, and English expeditions in South and North America up until the end of the 15th century. However, these are depicted as two separate continents. The map also shows a large part of the Old World, with Eurasia separated from America by the Pacific Ocean. 7 years later, in 1507, the Waldseemüller map, also known as Universalis Cosmographia, was published under the direction of the cartographer Martin Waldseemüller. This is the first map to use the name America to refer to the New World, mistakenly crediting Amerigo Vespucci as the discoverer of the continent instead of Christopher Columbus. The only surviving copy of the original 1507 Waldseemüller map is currently housed in the Library of Congress in the United States. The map represents the Earth using a modification of Ptolemy projection, where the meridians are curved lines and the parallels form concentric circles. In addition, it is heart-shaped and is topped by two portraits, Ptolemy on the left, next to Asia, Africa, and Europe, and Amerigo Vespucci on the right, next to the representation of America. 20 years later, in 1527, Diego Ribeiro, a Portuguese cartographer working under Charles I of Spain, created the first map that we can consider scientific. It integrates the first planisphere based on empirical observations of latitude, and is strongly influenced by the information collected during the voyages of Ferdinand Magellan and Juan Sebastian Elcano. The map accurately outlines the coasts of Central and South America and includes the Falkland Islands for the first time. However, neither Australia nor Antarctica appear, and the Indian subcontinent is shown as too small. The map reveals for the first time the true extent of the Pacific Ocean, and also for the first time the continuous eastern coast of North America, possibly based on the exploration of that coast by Esteban Gomez in 1525. Another notable aspect of this map is that it also shows the lines of the Treaty of Tordesillas, which established the division of the navigation and conquest zones of the Atlantic Ocean and the New World between the kingdoms of Spain and Portugal. Finally, about 40 years later, in 1569, the Dutch cartographer Gerardus Mercator created the world map that we recognize today, revolutionizing the cartography of the ancient world. Because of this, we can affirm that Mercator was the founder of modern cartography, which brought about a revolution in navigation in the 16th century and beyond. His projection, known as the Mercator projection, became the standard for marine navigation and is probably the most used of all time. This projection progressively distorts territories as we approach the poles, increasing their size. Therefore, the true size of each country or continent is best appreciated at the equator. To project the Earth onto a plane, Gerardus Mercator imagined the Earth as a cylinder rather than a sphere, with a radius equivalent to the Earth's. As a result, the meridians do not converge at the poles and, together with the parallels, form a grid of straight lines perpendicular to each other. Despite the distortions of the Mercator projection, it is particularly suitable for interactive maps, where the user can zoom in on a specific region. For this reason, various tools such as Google Maps have commonly used it, as it preserves angles. Although Google Maps abandoned the Mercator projection in its desktop version in 2018, you can get an idea of how widely the Dutch cartographer's projection, devised almost 5 centuries ago, has been used. And that concludes our video today from Via Doctus on the evolution of cartography throughout human history and humanity's eagerness to explore every corner of the globe we inhabit. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.